When you think of Egypt, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Pyramids? Pharaohs? All those ancient wonders buried in the sand? Of course. But that's only one piece of a truly epic story. Today, we're going to look beyond the history books to understand the vibrant, complex, and totally modern nation that is Egypt. So, let's dive right in.
And this is really the big question we're tackling here. How does a place with one of the longest continuous histories on the entire planet handle all the pressures of the modern world? How do all those echoes from the past actually shape its present and its future? Just keep that question in the back of your mind as we go.
And really, to even start to answer that, we have to begin where Egyptian civilization itself began, with the land. Because more than anything else, Egypt is, and always has been, the gift of the Nile River.
The ancient Egyptians, they understood this perfectly. They saw their world as two totally separate lands. First, there was Kemet, the Black Land. That's the narrow, super fertile strip of dark soil that the Nile's annual floods left behind. And then there was Deshret, the Red Land. That's the vast, threatening desert all around it. One meant life, the other, well, desolation. This duality has defined Egypt for thousands of years.
And get this, that ancient reality is still playing out today in a huge way. Check out this staggering fact. 99% of Egypt's entire population lives crammed onto just 5.5% of its land. It's basically this thin green ribbon of life that cuts right through an immense desert. That's over 100 million people clustered along the Nile Valley and its delta. It's truly one of the most concentrated population densities anywhere on Earth.
So how did this totally unique geography end up shaping Egypt's incredible history? All right, buckle up, because we're going to take a high-speed journey through 5,000 years to see how conquerors, religions, and revolutions built the nation that we see today.
This timeline tells such an incredible story of resilience and constant change. The Pharaonic era, kicked off by King Menes, lasted for nearly 3,000 years. But then, a whole series of conquests redefined Egypt forever. First the Persians, then the Greeks under Alexander the Great, and after them, the Romans. A huge shift happened in 642 AD with the Arab conquest, which brought Islam and totally reshaped the culture. Centuries later, it was swallowed up by the Ottoman Empire. Then came a period of British influence. And finally, in the 20th century, Egypt won its independence and in 1953 became the republic it is today. What a ride. So all that incredible history, all those empires and that long tradition of centralized rule, that brings us right to Egypt's modern political world. The names and the titles have definitely changed, but that concentration of power is still a really central theme.
And man, when you compare the systems, the difference is just night and day. Back in ancient times, Egypt was ruled by a pharaoh, a literal god-king with absolute divine authority. Today, it's officially a semi-presidential republic. But even though the systems are worlds apart, that long history of strong, centralized leadership, you can still feel its echoes in the modern state.
So where does that centralized power really sit in the modern era? Well, this quote from back in 2009 by Dr. Ali Eldin Hilal Dasuki just puts it so plainly. The real center of power in Egypt is the military. This really points to the military's long-standing role as a major force in both politics and the economy, a legacy that absolutely continues to shape how the country is run.
But politics is only half the story, so let's shift gears and look at the engine that's really driving modern Egypt. While farming along the Nile is still super important, the economy today is incredibly diverse and deeply plugged into global trade. The modern economy is just so diversified. It's powered by huge sectors like energy, especially natural gas, and a really strong industrial base that makes everything from steel to textiles. And then you've got two globally famous moneymakers, tourism and, of course, the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal is so much more than just a waterway. It's a flat-out economic superpower. In 2023 alone, it brought in a mind-blowing $9.4 billion. This canal connects Europe and Asia, making it one of the most vital arteries for global shipping. And, yeah, a massive cornerstone of Egypt's economy. And then, of course, there's tourism. Egypt's ancient history is one of its absolute greatest assets. In 2024, a record 15.7 million people visited the country, drawn in by everything from the Giza necropolis, which is the only ancient wonder of the world still standing, to the gorgeous beaches along the Red Sea. So from its geography to its economy, Egypt is just this land of fascinating contrasts. And you see this maybe more than anywhere else when you look at its culture, which powerfully blends this ancient legacy with a super dynamic modern identity that influences the entire Arab world.
Think about ancient Egyptian art for a second. It was incredibly consistent. I mean, for thousands of years, it followed this strict, coded set of rules. The whole point wasn't individual expression. It was about communicating these eternal religious and political ideas for the pharaohs and the gods. Everything was ordered, symbolic, and pretty much unchanging.
Okay, now let's jump to the modern day. For over a century, Egypt has been the undisputed king of cinema in the Arab world, producing a staggering 3/4 of all Arabic-language films. It's dynamic, it's innovative, and it's a huge cultural trendsetter, earning Cairo the nickname the Hollywood of the Middle East. And it's not just movies. This cultural leadership extends to literature too. In 1988, the novelist Naguib Mahfouz became the very first writer in the Arabic language to win the Nobel Prize, cementing Egypt's role as a modern intellectual and artistic powerhouse.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Egypt today really is a testament to endurance. It's a nation built on the foundation of one of the world's oldest civilizations, yet it's facing the 21st century with a massive, young population and a pivotal role in its region. It's that tension between its profound past and its fast-moving present that makes it one of the most fascinating places on Earth. And that leaves us with the ultimate question: what comes next?